أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Mr. Chairman, Amir Hamid Saab, to our guests who've come here today and our honored guests on the stage with me today, I greet you in the name of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I will tell you a very true, very real life American story today. And it begins with, I will cause thy message to reach the corners of the earth. And the journey begins with a cold night when a gentle and respected Muslim by the name of Mufti Mohammad Sadiq left London for America to become one of the first pioneers in the spiritual colonization of the Western world. The phrase was coined by Hadhrat Mirza Bashir Din Mahmud Ahmed, Muslim Maud Khalifa Masih II, Raziallahu Anhu, who had assigned to his former teacher and beloved companion of Hadhrat the Promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam, the task of propagating Islam, Ahmadiyyat, to the American people. From the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Mufti Saab, Raziallahu Anhu, was always described as devoted and dedicated. Hadhrat Akhtas had a special love for Mufti Saab, who he described as one of the sincere friends in my Jamaat. Like his name, he is truly affectionate. Mufti Saab boarded the SS Haverford, an unglamorous North Atlantic workhorse that could carry 2,000 passengers headed for the United States. It was the route from Liverpool to Philadelphia, traveled by many immigrants to America. What would await Mufti Saab in America? What would await him? Let us turn back the clock in the early 1900s, and I want to give you a snapshot of America. After the First World War ended in 1919, most Americans were totally unconcerned about the dark side of life. They were too busy enjoying the prosperity. It was a time of boom time. We're in the money. That was the phrase. We are in the money. It was a time of isolationism. We had had enough of war. It was also a time of racism. It was a time of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan. It was a time of lynchings, and it was a time of segregation. It was a time that many African Americans became invisible in America. We were the spooks sitting by the door. This was the America that was waiting for the arrival of Mufti Saab. But it's important to remember that this man was not an ordinary man. His roots and his history and his service to Islam are far too long for me to capsulize in a short speech today. Suffice to say that on a list of 313 companions of the Promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam, he is number 65. Now back to this journey. As this British ship makes its long, arduous, dangerous Atlantic journey to his fellow passengers, he was just a strange, dark man with a heavy gray beard, wearing a bright green turban and a gray coat with flowing sleeves. He was the man that would walk amongst the immigrants coming here saying, "Say, if you love Allah, follow me, then will Allah love you." And before this ship dropped its anchor in the Philadelphia harbor, it was said that Mufti Saab had converted 4 Chinese men, an American, 1 Syrian, and a Yugoslavian to Islam. Traveling for almost 1 month with so many people from different lands, provided his fellow passengers to observe closely a pious Muslim who not only taught and preached Islam, he lived his faith. America was to await Mufti Saab with detention, because when he arrived on the land and he was meandering through that maze of immigration, along with those teeming masses seeking entry into the land of freedom, immigration officers questioned him. And they had been told to watch out for those wearing these turbans. And they said to him, "Why have you come to this country?" He said, "I'm a missionary. I'm a missionary of Islam. I've come to bring Islam to America." And they demanded, "Why have you come to this country?" And he was subjected to such intense questioning on the subject of polygamy over and over again. They wanted to know, did you come to this country to bring us polygamy? He says, no, I've come to bring to you the most beautiful religion I know, Islam. And after this intense questioning, after all this questioning, they rejected Mufti Saab and said, you cannot come in to the United States of America. He said, no, I will appeal this. And he made an appeal directly to the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. This period that he made the appeal, he was confined to the Philadelphia detention house until the appeal decision was handed down. But during this confinement, he wrote about the situation of Khalifa Masih II, who replied with certainty, America cannot and will not stop our entry into the country to establish our mission. And then Mufti Saab quietly wrote, I'm not worried about the opposition I will face in America. I'm not worried because God is with me. And I'm supported by the prayers of Khalifa Masih and the pious and noble members of our community. And by the grace of Allah, his appeal was granted and he was released after 7 weeks of confinement. 7 weeks of confinement. Now, what did Mufti Saab do with his time in confinement? He came to know and love the people. He came to work with the people that he was in detention with. And while he was there, he prayed, seeking protection and resolution from Allah Almighty. He preached Islam. He debated religious issues. And he was a perfect model of devotion. He was the perfect model following the Master Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as a result, Mufti Saab was able to convert 20 detainees from Jamaica, British Guyana, Poland, Russia, Germany, the Azores, Belgium, Portugal, Italy, and France. Now, for many, this would be a dark period of their life in detention and being detained, but nothing could be further than the truth for Mufti Saab. It was a blessing for him. Through his gentle character and humble soul, he left an indelible mark of piety and taqwa with his fellow detainees. They came to know Islam while they were detained with Mufti Saab. After leaving this detention after 7 weeks, he moved to America and established the American mission in New York in 1920. And despite the persecution that he felt there, he continued on with his mission. And his most effective weapon was nothing but a pen. Nothing but a pen. Throughout his years in America, he waged what we call Jihad-i-Akbar with his pen. Mufti Muhammad Sadiq understood the power of the pen. He understood the power of the press in the United States of America, and he used it without the benefit of a computer, without the benefit of a fax machine, without the benefit of email. He strove so hard with that pen, continuing to write letters to everybody he could write to who was of some importance in America. This was what Mufti Saab did with the pen. His only weapon was that pen. Between 1920 and 1922, Mufti Saab traveled between Highland Park, Detroit, and Chicago, Illinois. In Chicago, Illinois, he purchased a building at 4448 Wabash, the first Ahmadi mosque and the national headquarters of the Ahmadiyya movement in the United States of America. You know, it was in this environment where he was surrounded by Arabs who were working for Mr. Ford in his factory in Michigan. It was in this environment that he launched what is still being published today after 85 years. This publication is still being published, the oldest Muslim publication in the United States of America, the Muslim Sunrise.